Bing bong, Evan Dammerall. Welcome to the LOCKEDON Cavaliers podcast. I'm Chris Manning. He's Evan Dammerall. Today's show, we're going to talk about the Cavs beating the Raptors. We're going to talk about the Cavs going to Madison Square Garden and beating the New York Knicks. And we're going to talk about the Cavs week ahead. That's all coming up today on LOCKEDON Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast, part of the LOCKEDON Podcast Network, also available once weekly at WKYC, the local Tegna station in wonderful, sunny Cleveland, Ohio. Big sports weekend, by the way, for Cleveland, Ohio. Check out Locked On Browns for your second listen after you finish making Locked On Cavs your first listen every day. Support you for supporting us, and we thank you for making us your first listen. Remember, we're free and available on every platform, including Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. We hit over 500 on YouTube. Let's get to 600 this week. Let's do it. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get into today's show.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Two wins, Evan, for the Cleveland Cavaliers this weekend. One in Toronto where they led for barely over 4 seconds before pulling that out. Another one where they played tight in the first half. Colin Sexton leaves the game with an injury, but then they outscore the Knicks mightily in the third quarter. Fourth quarter gets a little frantic, but they win that quarter by 3 as well. They go 2-0 in the weekend, 7-4 in the year, 5-3 so far on the road. Kind of funny that the Cavs have only played 4 home games so far, considering the season's, we're 11 games in. But Evan, I guess,
Chris.
how do you want to do this? We're not going to do the what?
Silly Chris. The East runs through Cleveland, so it doesn't matter if they're home or away. Every game's a home game.
I'm gonna go get a Tim Hortons donut and salute Tristan Thompson, who is obviously just predicting the future. He's a precog. But Evan, we have 2 games to talk about. 2 wins, 2 things that turn out very differently, kind of work themselves out differently, different vibes in these games, so to speak, in a lot of ways. But we're not going to do our normal awards because this is obviously coming off the weekend. But as far as what stood out,
we could talk about the Knicks game. Come on.
Okay, do you want to? I'm trying to get to the point where I ask you: do you want to start? Do you want to do this where like we talk about both games and sort of weave in and out? Do you want to talk about one game and then go to the other game? What do you want to do?
Let's weave in and out. Let's bob and weave. Let's dip, duck, dodge, and duck again. I think that's
unbelievable. Just so if anyone's watching on YouTube and they're wondering why I just made hand gestures, it's because the queen of the podcast herself, Leanne Manning, just made an unplanned cameo. So,
oh well, hello, Leanne. I hope you're doing well. I complimented you on her.
The best. She's the best wedding. She is the best wedding date there is. That's a fun fact for y'all out there.
I mean, I guess, man, like let's do some broad takeaways. Maybe we get into the nitty gritty of it. Broad takeaways. 1, I think Jared Allen is worth every penny of that $100 million the Cavs are paying him. He had 16 and 15 against the Raptors, and he was a big reason on why the Cavs were able to beat Toronto, especially, I mean, Darius Garland was so clutch down the stretch, and he reminded everyone of LeBronto through a clutch client connection. But I mean, Jared Allen also was a huge presence against the Knicks as well. 18 points, 17 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals. I mean, no blocks. That's fine. Like, Jared Allen has been so dang good. And we've talked about this before. Like, nothing's really certain with this young core for this Cavaliers roster. But Jared Allen feels like a certainty at this point. Like, he is here for the foreseeable future. I think because the Cavs really like him, at least this current regime does. I think if Kobe Altman were to get the axe, I think the next regime would like him as well. He's been so good, and he is the best player, at least on a night-to-night basis, it feels like at times for this young core. But, I mean, like, there's some pretty good pieces as well, too. But, like, Jared Allen's been really good.
I just have to go to Ricky Rubio because this Ricky Rubio game on Sunday comes off the bench, plays 31 minutes, 13 of 19 from the field, 8 of 9 from 3, 3 of 3 from the free throw, 10 assists against just 4 turnovers, had a steal, incredible shot making, incredible feel for the game, really just like pushed, like sussing out plays by just like probing and kind of trying to make stuff happen. Some fun stats from front of the program, Katie Davidson pointed something out. 66 total threes is they had the number of threes that Rubio made last year. It also took him 25 games in total before he made 8 threes in total last season. So like this was like a Rubio game where it's just like I was like watching this and like this game gets close in the fourth and it's tight and like it's a little chaotic and it's like I don't know how the Cavs are gonna handle this because like they're playing a certain amount of guys and like there's this wasn't like a good Jetty game. This was a bad Darius defensive game, although he did some other stuff well. And like this is just like a lot of like can Mobley, Allen, and Rubio like suss them out here? Because it feels like if you're playing the big picture, it would feel like a waste to me to lose the Ricky Rubio game where he makes 8 threes and they won. And like the Cavs just beat a team that might be one of the best 6 teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
like on the road and like that. It was impressive. It was impressive.
It's a Tom Thibodeau defensive team too. I'm going to follow up your takeaway because you rudely didn't follow up mine. So
look, we had to get to Rubio because that was like an out of body experience. Kevin Love is like, I don't even know where Kevin Love is right now, considering like he's in the
probably in New York hanging out with Vestry and
getting Michelin star meal dinners like sent to him. But he's like live tweeting this game.
Michelin?
I don't know. I don't have that much money to know that. He's giving Angel Gray not good question suggestions from Kevin Love, but like like kind of cliche. Like step up your game, Kevin. Really, like come on, like do a little. Expect better. But they were there.
Hey man, thank goodness for Ricky Rubio is all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna ask you a question as we head into the break, but I'm gonna talk about this a little bit. We got time, I know, but I like to talk. I like the sound of my voice sometimes. Weirdly enough, because that's the biggest reason why I never do a podcast in the first place. Evan Dammerall's words to Chris Manning when we first tried to bring him on Locked On Cavs.
It's true.
But Ricky Rubio, thank goodness for him. Like I pointed this out, kind of. This isn't a shot at Colin Sexton, but he was hurt tonight with a knee injury. He banged knees in the first half, and he was out in the second half, obviously. Hopefully he's okay. I think by all accounts from things I've kind of gathered while just not doing media tonight, I think he'll be fine, but they're going to kind of just have a wait and see approach, see how he responds the following day, because when you bang knees with someone, it hurts like a mofo. So see where that goes there. So like he's been wildly inconsistent so far for the Cavs, I'd say. Like there's nights where he's on, like the game against the Hawks, where he was kind of playing a little bit too unselfishly at times, looking to pass too much, when you just more so needed him to keep getting buckets. And we have annoying conspiracy Cavs theorists tagging us about it. So it's just like the Cavs are winning in such impressive ways where they don't have to rely on lean on Colin Sexton's scoring, and sometimes it comes from unexpected places. And tonight it was Ricky Rubio, who is a 3-point assassin in Madison Square Garden. Like that was just a fun game. Like you said, it was an out of body experience. I think Darius Garland hitting 2 clutch 3-pointers down the stretch also just kind of like.
Let's put a pin. Can I ask you to put a pin in the Darius shot making stuff? Because I have been, ever since he hit a certain 3 against Toronto, I have been eagerly waiting to discuss this because like there is a big development happening with Darius Garland.
Real Cat, shouts to Dave Zavak. Real Cavs fans know from 2011 Kyrie, but
David's also still being up about like Jetty Osman and like David, just chill. Just like
I asked for the apology for him. I would like to say you were right. I was wrong. Jetty didn't have a good game tonight, but overall he's been pretty good this year. Like
the apology form is also a stupid meme. It's a bad meme.
Oh yeah, it is, but it's just Gen Z, it's not relating.
I mean, but I'm just Ish Smith making our boy Ish Smith, Cleveland Ish Smith making shots out here. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to, Evan, but if not, I will burn your eyeballs with it after. Here's a quick stat I wanna hit before we go into break. That
I have my question after your stat.
All right, Evan Mobley, the first Cavs rookie since Kyrie Irving in 2012 to have 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in a game, and Ricky Rubio. He's the 6th player in NBA history to have 35 points. No jokes about Kyrie. I don't want to go down there.
I was just going to say Evan Mobley won unlike Kyrie, but go ahead.
Okay. Glad you didn't go the other way. Ricky Rubio became the 6th player in league history. 35 points, 10 assists off of the bench since starters have been recorded. Really just fun night. Ask me your question.
So do you think the Cavs won the Taurean Prince trade? Because a lot of people were poo-pooing it at the time because they traded a wing player for Ricky Rubio. Like, in a vacuum, you and I were a fan of the trade because it made sense to back up Darius. But like here's Taurean's stats. In 8 games played for Minnesota, he's averaging 15 minutes per night, 3.1 points on 23.5% shooting, 2.3 rebounds, 0.8 assists, 0.4 steals, and 0.8 turnovers per game, and 1.6 fouls. I feel pretty comfortable in saying up to this point, like the Cavs got Ricky Rubio for a pretty good price. And somebody like I think Cavs France pointed this out. This all started with trading Dante Exum, the Bucks first round pick, which I forget what it became, but it doesn't matter at this point. They went to Houston, and in the end, they end up with Jared Allen and Ricky Rubio. Like Kobe Altman is pretty good at some asset management, I'd say. Do you agree with both of my takes there?
Yes, I literally people that are. Here's the thing: if you're not watching on YouTube, you aren't getting the perk of me already answering this question.
Well, I was reading stats and had another tab open, so I like the props. We should incorporate
yes.
props on this.
Yeah, at least like sticky. I'm a big pen and sticky note guy for like everything.
I'll get like a Doug Dimmadome hat that just like completely goes off screen.
This is what I'm on. I'm gonna do the Jimmy Butler. There we go. Evan, let's go on a break.
Rachel Nichols. Hey, let's go into break.
Let's talk after the break. We're going to talk about Darius Garland and his shot making, because this is a key thing that we're seeing, and I'm going to get a little nerdy with it from a basketball sense. But first, Evan, we got to tell everyone about our friends at Prize Picks, which is a great way to play daily fantasy, and it is the best NBA DFS prop game on the market. They offer more NBA props than any other DFS prop operator and offer all the superstar players as well as the bench players, only recording a handful of minutes each game. So like maybe you bet on Evan Mobley and or you did some Evan Mobley, Ricky Rubio DFS stuff and for Sunday and you won big. You should have done that. All of your users that deposit with the promo code NBA receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. All you got to do is pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry, and it is just you versus the projected numbers. Use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. It is safe and offers fast withdrawals. So again, don't hesitate. Check out prizepicks.com and use promo code NBA, or go to your app store and download the app today. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy.
Today's episode of Locked On Cavs is also brought to you by DirecTV. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite TV shows. You're watching Evan Mobley highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend log in to watch Ricky Rubio torch the Knicks. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and the great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so that you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there is no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. Ricky Rubio shooting so many three-pointers may melt your device, so you might have to replace it. They don't guarantee replacement on that. Anywho, welcome back to Locked On Cavs.
All right, Evan, let's talk about any other Knicks thoughts before I move on to Darius, because I feel like this could take up some time.
The Knicks have lost 3 of their last 4 games since they started playing Bing Bong. So do you think they get rid of that sound?
No, that is too iconic.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I love it.
Well, I honestly, the funniest part of that is the guy like making insane mouth noises before that. Like that's actually incredible.
It really is.
It's up there with the fact that with that Cavs commercial they did that has Just What I Am playing in it, where they found the most jacked guy they could to wear like the Colin Sexton jersey. I just found that funny too.
Well, I mean, it's fitting because Colin Sexton allegedly plate pushed from Atlanta back to Cleveland, so he himself is jacked. But
yeah.
No, not really any other key takeaways. Evan Mobley's so good. You want to share that Kyrie Irving stat comparing Evan Mobley one more time for the people who maybe skip through some of this?
Yeah, you shouldn't have skipped through it. But Evan Mobley, first Cav since 2012 with Kyrie, 25 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in a game.
So good. He's so good.
He's the absolute front runner of Rookie of the Year right now. And
how do you feel about the Rick and Mobley nickname for Ricky Rubio and Evan Mobley? I love it as a personal genius.
It doesn't project onto like those characters in a way that I find would be helpful, but
Evan Mobley has a really, really, really dark side that he doesn't want to share with the media.
That it would be a turn. But Evan, so Darius Garland this weekend hit some shots that are among the most encouraging shots he has hit as a professional basketball player. Okay. Number 1, let's go back to Toronto on Friday, a game we haven't talked about yet, but he hits the clutch free throws. The Cavs are not winning this game for most of this game. And just, kind of a tough performance. They have to come all the way back. They're, obviously down Okoro. Love's not playing still. He was the hero of that game. He was the absolute, to me, hero of the game. He also, he had another one of these pull-up threes late in the shot clock earlier in the week this was against the Blazers on Wednesday when he hit in the third quarter. There's a shot into this Toronto game. There's about 8 minutes to go in the fourth. It's him, Sexton, Dean Wade, Allen, and Mobley, the starting lineup. Sexton had dribbled, throws a pass over to Wade in the corner. Wade swings it to Garland. So Garland's above the right break. Dribbles in, off the catch, gets past the defender who lunged too far. I think OG created. And instead he could have passed to Sexton, who theoretically might have been open on the other wing for a three. But the Raptors were kind of in a good position to kind of recover there. He just sticks the three. He just steps into his three and sticks it. That is high-level shot making. That is the right kind of selfish. Then you get to Sunday. He has 4 or 5 from 3 in this game, including he has 1 coming off of a screen, which is nice to see. It's something he's doing a lot less this year. It's like half the number of off the catch threes this year, off ball threes. Hits 1 where I believe Julius Randle's defending him on a switch, and he pulls the ball back out from the free throw line, and he spaces him out, he stretches him, and he hits a rainbow 3 over Julius Randle. Hits the 3. Unbelievable stuff. Later in this, he hits another one where he is crafting and creating, and he's finding this. This wasn't even like a good game for him. This wasn't a game where like he passed all that well. Like Rubio did a lot of the creation. Mobley did some really nice creation out of the short roll. It was the worst defensive game I think he might have had played all year, just based on the first watch through. And maybe I'm wrong on that. But the shot making we're seeing from him, or at least once or twice a game, he's making these high leverage, difficult shots. This is the promise of Darius Garland. This is the promise of like this guy might be able to be something really, really spectacular. And we're seeing it right now. And if this holds, buddy, the Darius Garland stocks are going up, 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 up.
Yeah.
I didn't even say my favorite one. He came off of a double drag. He came off double drag. Okay, talk. I gotta call myself.
Chris Manning's showing everyone his vinegar strokes right now. If you know, you know. But yeah, my Spencer Dinwiddie takes kind of evaporating in real time. Like I'm super stoked with how well Darius is playing. I know Jason Lloyd made the pot shot of saying that the Cavs have such a strong foundation going for, or launch pad to build off of with Garland, Mobley, and Allen, but he's like not obviously omitting Sexton from that tweet was probably intentional on Jason's part because he really does have an axe to grind with Colin Sexton. But Darius Garland's really freaking good. Like Chris pointed out, like there's times he's a little too passive. There's times he's a little too unselfish. He's looking to get his teammates involved. I mentioned it reminds me a lot of Kyrie Irving during the one Mike Brown reunion year where Kyrie's very methodical in his approach, where for the better part of the first half, he looks to get his teammates going, so it's a little easier for him. So when it's time for him to take over, or it's time for him to bail out the Cavs, or it's time for Spencer Hawes or Luol Deng to brick a three-pointer, Kyrie can take that shot and kind of carry the Cavs. Hopefully either a win or a respectable loss or a frustrating loss if it's to the Phoenix Suns. College Evan is screaming internally again, but Darius gives me a lot of those vibes. Like Dave is a grump, yes, but he wasn't too far off in saying like it gives you some Kyrie Irving vibes at time. Again, not a fair comparison because Kyrie Irving was incredible during Cleveland, and again, so fortunate that the Cavs got the apex of Kyrie Irving.
They absolutely they do not win a title without Kyrie Irving. It's just a
exactly
fact.
And it's completely unfair to give him Steph Curry comparisons. I think the Dame Lillard comparisons are unfair. Like I think Nick Van Exel is still like his absolute basement at this point. Like I don't think that's a bad thing.
I just kind of think he's Darius Garland. I just think
Darius Garland, but like I'm saying, if you're trying to draw historical comparisons or trying to like, because I really like Jay Kyle-Mann's approach. Like he doesn't compare him to one player. Like there's just like a nebulous of players you surround him with, saying like, okay, you can kind of see a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Darius is just really interesting. And like Chris said, this is the point I'm getting to where he's methodical in his approach lately, where he's trying to get everyone involved. Darius's assist numbers are consistent. His playmaking is really good. His vision is incredible. He sees plays as they happen in real time. He sees them before they happen. His on-court chemistry with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, the two of the key pieces in this rebuild, is really good to start this season. But like Chris said, we're not seeing the passivity carry through the entire game. We're starting to see him be selfish at the right times and take those threes. Like I wanted to talk about against the Knicks. Like, yeah, Ricky Rubio put the Knicks on ice for sure, but it was a little close up until about 3.5, 4 minutes left in the game, and Darius hit 2 3-pointers down the stretch, just kind of blew the game apart, and really just drove it home for the Cavs that they're going to win this one. And I don't think, and I think the Knicks are a well coached team. This is again a Tom Thibodeau coach defense. Like, they're going to respect Ricky Rubio if he's hitting threes and kind of prevent that from happening. Darius kind of sagging off of that and playing off of Rubio's playmaking as well is really helpful for this team too. So I still need to see more of it, but it's been about 5, 6, almost 7 games I'm seeing it now. I think the 10 game mark is a good place to really evaluate it. Like, we're going to do some roster evaluation stuff this week, if I remember the calendar correctly. So I'm pretty excited to see where Darius Garland is headed. Like, he has a very fun skill set that does a lot of things for me because he's stupid efficient too. That's the other thing. Like, he's 4 or 5 from 3. Like, he makes his 3-pointers count. If he eventually upticks his shot taking a little bit, maybe he's a little bit more selfish, that's where I'll get really bullish on him. But like, my expectations were pretty dang high for him. Like, I wrote a huge long piece about how my expectations were high for him. It just keeps getting more and more, like, more and more excitement keeps building as I watch him play.
We'll come back to this later in the week, but I think there's like I was looking through some of his shot charts and his numbers and thinking and looking at it. I was talking about it with a couple people who are frankly smarter than me, and I think that there's a chance that there's like going to be a Garland like scoring bump in some ways based on sort of how his shots, what kind of shots he's taking right now. Secondly, I want to just run through this double drag set real quick. So if in case people haven't listened to me talk about this before, don't know what it is because you know more about basketball because I'm a dummy. Double drag is basically a set where you're setting a staggered screen on one wing. You're going to usually have the big. The Cavs have run it with 2 bigs, where like of a big pop and then a center roll. In this case, it was Jared Allen.
3 bigs actually.
Well, the version that they most run is the 2. Okay, but I'm saying in terms of like actually involved in the action, the double drag is 2 bigs or 2 players, but the Cavs run it with 2 bigs like Kevin Love and Jared Allen. This one was Darius Garland as the ball handler. Jared Allen is the roll man, and Jetty Osman pops out as like the potential like the third option if there's not a shot there. I honestly, Evan, cannot tell you how many times I've seen any Cav in that situation like take the pull up 3. Garland took it and stroked it, and if that's another way to stretch everything out, like that is just like the confidence to do that, to make that kind of pull up 3 is like really, really, really encouraging, and it has not been as much of a staple of the Cavs offense this year, that roller kind of action with other guys in the corners, but it has been something where they have used it a lot last year to some success, and they're getting a little more creative with it. And the Cavs also ran a lot of like empty corner pick and roll with Dylan Windler, even like Lamar Stevens or like Rubio with like Garland off of him with Windler on the other wing and like one guy in the dunker spot. Like, they're actually getting a little more creative on their offense. But we got to take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about what's coming ahead this week and what's some other little news and notes around the Cleveland Cavaliers. But first, got to tell everyone about our friends at Built Bar. Evan, do you love Thanksgiving?
I do, man. And this year I might be hosting a little like Friendsgiving get together, and when the desserts come out, I might have to put some Built Bars front and center for everyone instead of just the traditional Thanksgiving dessert options.
Yeah, like a slice of pie has up to 300 calories, and that's on the low end before you get into the whipped cream and all of that. Most Built Bars are only 130 calories, and then they 4 grams of sugar with plenty of protein. So replace that coconut cream pie with a coconut Built Bar, or go for a raspberry Built Bar instead of that raspberry pie. There are lots of good flavors to replace any pie out there. Low calorie, low carb, low fat, high protein. Covered in 100% real chocolate. They're a great option for when you're hungry. And if Thanksgiving isn't coming soon enough, go for a Built Bar or 2. Share some at a family gathering or a Friendsgiving in Evan's case, or if maybe you're running a 5K with a family member or a friend and you want to give them a good snack after the fact, maybe bring 2 in your car instead of just bringing 1 for yourself. There are new surprises all month, limited time flavors arriving at Built.com regularly. And remember, there's nothing like a Built Bar Black Friday. Mark your calendar. Black Friday will be a huge event with all sorts of surprises. So go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15. You'll get 15% off your order. Again, that is promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Evan, any final weekend thoughts before we wrap up here? Is there any like Knicks thoughts? Is there any Raptors thoughts? Anything?
Nothing at all. I'm just so happy the Cavs. That's why I'm all smiles right now. It's because the Cavs won.
Okay, I'm gonna break the third wall. I did something. I knocked some
Oh no,
stuff
I'm
over
tweeting
with the
right
quicks.
now. You're gonna
Yeah,
release the Manning cut for our listeners. Don't
absolutely
worry.
not. Only if someone gives me like $1,000. Honestly. Anyway,
Computers go both ways, my man. I can download it too.
if you do, I will come to a
For those
extremely.
listening, I just tweeted it, but Chris like hit his mic and I
Yeah.
watched his whole setup just fall apart in real time in the middle of an ad.
Look, honestly, the fact that I'm not like a pile of goo right now is because shouts to my therapist. But and my wife just asked me if I'm okay. I am okay. I just knocked some things over. We're fine. We moved on, and it's an easy edit. It's an easy fix. But Evan, here's my only other takeaway from the weekend. I really just want to see this Cavs team healthy, but I also like still want to see Dylan Windler play basketball because
Big Sam for both.
he's had like a couple good games in a row. Even if there's a couple moments where we're like, okay, the athleticism's like not great, but he's making shots and he's hitting spot up threes from like a couple feet beyond the arc, and like I'm extremely here for that. You know,
Sorry, I
you
really
you
can.
you
I
gotta
cannot
we got
get
we gotta.
over. I cannot get over it. Yeah, no, it's Dylan Windler's been really fun. He kind of laid an egg against Toronto, and like I said, when he had that big game against Portland, I think the luxury of having Dylan Windler is one, the Cavs can go small if he's healthy. Like that's a huge thing for them because I know JB is hell bent determined on going big. That's why he's starting Dean Wade. He said that pregame against the Knicks tonight. He's like the only reason Dean Wade is starting because I think it's mostly for Evan Mobley to have familiarity of playing with two big men on the floor to start games. I think it also helps Darius and Colin too. But like, and I guess in theory, Dean Wade does provide spacing, not as well as Larry Markkinen or even Kevin Love does, but alas, he still does. Maintain your composure, Evan. But Dylan Windler kind of laid a stinker against Toronto, and I think the luxury of him kind of playing his way back into shape is JB can pull the hook on him real quick and maybe lean more on Jetty. Lamar Stevens got some minutes. I think Lamar played really well against Toronto in the second half, and he definitely earned those minutes, even against New York. Wasn't super great against the Knicks, but he played well. So it is what it is. I just hope Dylan Windler can stay healthy, and I fully agree with both of your takes. Like, I wanted to see this Cavs team fully healthy. Because shouts to friend of the show, Jimmy Longo. He said this is the most fun he's had covering this team because the vibes are so good, like within and are surrounding the organization right now. I want to see this good vibes Cavs squad at full strength just to kind of get it like a real feel. Like there might be some lumps and growing pains, especially with like Isaac Okoro, who's been out for now 7 games with a hamstring injury. But like, I'm intrigued to see what this Cavs looks like when it's hitting on all cylinders. Like, JB Bickerstaff's coaching this team really well and deserves flowers once again.
Yeah, I think this is. I mean, short history. Like we'll see if this sustains, but I think probably the best coaching job he's done. Frankly, I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely his best job so far with the Cavs. Okay, but let's hit a couple quick points. Games this week for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Wizards at home. They get 2 days off.
Bro,
I
that's
think
like
I needed 2 days
that is
off.
gonna be a highly anticipated matchup. The Wizards are red hot right now too.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, if we're gonna you say I don't want to say the word playoffs, but like it's theoretically like kind of an important
There's
game
play-in
in that sense.
implications for this game.
Yeah, I mean, all of these games are if the long stretch of it sort of means that need to be there. That game is going to be fun. Are there any other games this week that you're kind of looking forward to from a Cavs perspective? Is that the game that you're most looking forward to as we look at the slate that we got
And
this week?
in terms of like overall Cavs perspective, like talent wise, yeah, that's the game I'm definitely looking forward to most. Mark Stein shared it. I'm gonna try and pull up the statistics as I talk here because I'll admit I don't watch a lot of Wizards tape, but they're playing very, very, very well this year. Sorry, thought about the mic thing again.
This
Hit.
would be a game where like if Isaac Okoro could defend Bradley Beal, I would feel like a
So
little. I would feel
over
like a
the
little better about this. You
in
know.
their last 10, the Wizards are 7-3. Bradley Beal's averaging 24, 5-5. Kyle Kuzma's averaging 14 and 10. Spencer Dinwiddie is averaging 14, 6 and 6, 16, 4 and 6. Montrezl Harrell off the bench is averaging 18 and 9 on 64% shooting. Like that's going to be an interesting task for Mobley and Allen. And Contavious Caldwell Pope is shooting 40% from 3. And Rui Hachimura and Thomas Bryant have not played a single game for Washington this year. They're playing really well. It's a fun game for Jamal Mosley to come back to. I just might have butchered the coach name there. Did Jamal get the Wizards?
No, they have Jamal is the as the
Mavericks
Magic coach,
Magic
and he
coach.
former Mavericks assistant, but then Wes Unseld Jr. is the Washington Wizards coach. Former Nuggets assistant Wes Unseld Jr.
Wes Unseld Jr. I'm so sorry, but Wizards are kind of a hot team. They kind of are. They are a hot team. The Cavs are red hot right now too. This is going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to the games against Boston because the City Edition uniforms and the City Edition court will make their debut. Like that'll be aesthetically interesting to look at because I'm pretty high on the City Edition uniforms, but I want to see them in person to see how they really look like, to see how they look like on the court and everything else, and especially on TV too. If I watch like a replay of it or something like that, because like I was not high on last year's City Edition uniforms, and I saw them in person. I'm just like, okay, they're not as bad as I thought, but yeah,
Well, Evan,
it should be a fun. It should be a fun week of basketball.
Yeah,
like
this is a good transition. Yeah.
Oh my god, we're zoomed in.
I was trying to do something there. We're gonna figure this out next time. But do you like I'm throwing them up on the screen. I don't know if this is from Conrad Burry on Twitter. He did a little tweak of the Cavs City Edition jerseys. Basically got rid of the logo from the Miracle of Richfield era. And I'll link this in the show notes if people are listening. But there's it went with the first LeBron era Cleveland across the chest. I actually kind of almost like those better.
I do too. The only reason, and Danny Cunningham kind of pointed this out to us too while we were in the press box before we did our Locked On Now from the seat and from the stadium seats. I don't think they'd ever really bring back the LeBron era jerseys until LeBron's back, either playing for the organization in some capacity or like as part of an ownership group within the organization in some capacity. Like they make him like the owner mascot for the Cavs. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I am nostalgic for that look. I think honestly, like Keith, I'm gonna throw it up again. Like if you do like a quick like breakdown here, like they're pretty similar so far to the navy like alternates that eventually became the away jerseys for the Cavs during that first era.
Yeah,
but they're wine. So like I love those uniforms to begin with. So, yeah, huge fan of those. So, but at the same time, like the swashbuckling Cavalier is the first logo in franchise history. You got to incorporate it somewhere else. Then that's the only trade-off.
Yeah, 100%. Just one last note before we go: the Cleveland Charge are back in action. We're not necessarily gonna cover this stuff in detail on the show. We'll cover it as it's need be. Right now, the Cavs they're not playing their two-way guys of the G League right now. Just they're kind of like Taco Fall played at the end of the Knicks game, but they did have their debut at the Wolfstein Center on Saturday, playing the Motor City Cruise, the new Detroit Pistons G League affiliate. Kyle Guy, former Warriors Summer League standout Kyle Guy, had 26 points on 11 and 22 shooting. He also had 8 assists. Saban Lee for the Cruise had 42 points, also had 8 assists against just 1 turnover in 35 minutes. The Charge lost this game 140-117. We're outscored by 7 into the fourth quarter and 11 in the first quarter. So those 2 quarters from a box score perspective, at least kind of did them in for Danger Rose group. Luka Garza also had 24 points and 9 rebounds for the Cruise. Elsewhere for Cleveland, Malik Newman had 25 points. You had Ballack had 11 points and Justin James had 19 points, had a nice dunk as well in that one. That was a cool highlight clip from the Charge put on their social. I'll be interested to see how this this will be just a thing we check in on every so often. We'll see how Taco Fall is doing. We'll see how RJ Nembhard's doing. The two-way guys, again, did not play in this one. But the G League, Evan, I think just in case people aren't aware, I think is kind of in a fun spot. I mean, Greg Monroe is back, who is somehow only 29 years old, by the way, is going to be playing with the Capital City Go-Go, the Wizards affiliate.
You're lying. I'm not only a couple months younger than Greg.
He's 29.
He's 31.
Okay. I got this confused. But he's
still
only 31.
Like,
but he's still no way. But he's still only 31. Like, he's still only 31. You could have told me Greg Monroe was 37.
You know what, Chris? My girlfriend says you're also almost 30, but I correct her and say, no, I'm 28 years old. Let's not age me too much here. There's a clear difference between old and washed like us and being old and washed like Greg Monroe. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, there's a lot of
like Alfonso McKinney. He's playing for the Mexico City team. Brandon Knight, Cavs legend. Brandon Knight is playing for the Sioux Falls Skyforce. So like the talent level is rising in the G League. Obviously, the G League Ignite is the headliner. That is the developmental wing of this. But you're gonna get more guys in the G League, and I think the Denver team has like Lance Stevenson and like some other notable guys on it.
Based in Michigan.
Yeah, weirdly. But I think you're gonna get some more stuff that's kind of fun, and I want to see if the Cavs even have some guys like that have been around the block a little bit. Houston has been in the league for a while. Malik Newman, Kyle Guy is was a very accomplished college player. So we'll see where this goes. But Evan, let's wrap up there before I knock anything else over. Thanks again to Bill Parr, Prize Picks, and DirecTV for sponsoring the show. Everyone, we'll be back tomorrow with another episode. I will be doing our that we've mentioned a couple of times. We're going to do like the 10-ish games check-in, see where the Cavs are, what we think of them through 10 games, and see kind of what we think is going on here and what we kind of still want to feel like we need to figure out about this team going forward. And then on Wednesday, Evan will be out. So Jordan Zerm from the Checkdown, you may have heard him when I was with him in Summer League and we did some pods together. He's going to come back. We're going to talk about Evan Mobley's progression from Summer League until now and dive into some other Cavs stuff. And he'll probably hopefully we can record at a point where like we find out where Aldo Beckham Jr. is going and his brain breaks in real time. But again, thanks again for making Locked On Cavs your first listen every day. Remember, we're free and available on all platforms. And if you want a good second listen, may I suggest Locked On Fantasy Basketball? It's hosted by the great Josh Lloyd and is the #1 fantasy basketball podcast out there. So go check that out. And then check out Locked On Browns with a good friend of the program, Jeff Lloyd, after that. But until next time, I'm Chris. He's Evan. Make sure you don't trip over cords and then enjoy some Cavs basketball. Talk to you soon.